Commitment 2026 coverage just in. Democratic gubernatorial candidate David Crowley leading Republican Tom Tiffany among likely voters.
In the first Marquette Law School poll ahead of the November election, Crowley is ahead 49% to 44%. But the candidates are tied when you include all registered voters. 12 News political director Matt Smith joins us now to break down the new poll.
All right, guys, 69 days until Election Day, if you're counting. The chaotic Democratic primary is over, and now it is full steam ahead to November. So with that, let's bring in poll director Charles Franklin, who just got done releasing his new poll. We just saw the numbers. So let's bring those up to look at those one more time. When we talk about likely voters, David Crowley has this 5-point lead, but then you look at all registered voters, and it's a tie. Walk us through the difference here.
So I think the first thing is close race either way, but maybe leaning a little in Crowley's favor. But two things drive that difference. One is turnout. Democrats slightly more likely to turn out than Republicans, but the other is party loyalty. With likely voters, Democrats are incredibly loyal to Crowley. Republicans are strongly supporting Tiffany, but they trail Democrats when you look at likely voters. So who turns out and how loyal are they to the party?
I want to add one more number to this mix, and that is independent voters. They appear to be the most undecided at this moment. But if you look at this split, 55 to 16, is this concerning for the Tom Tiffany campaign, or is there wiggle room between now and November?
Well, there's certainly a lot of wiggle room. Independents tune in a little later. They are more malleable. They can change their minds. I think the number one thing is that there's a good bit of undecided among independents. But when we look at other things, other issues that people are concerned about, independents are pretty negative about the current economic situation. They're negative about the president. Those are things that give Democrats an edge with independents right now.
But still a lot of time for shifting.
70-something days, whatever you just said. There is room for change, and that's certainly, you know, an easy thing is that we've got 2 months, and anything could happen in that time. But the Democratic Party looks a little more united, and despite a very close primary election, Hong supporters seem to be just as behind Crowley as other Democrats are.
With that, let's talk about the top issues. And it's no surprise here by a resounding amount. In inflation and the cost of living is the most significant issue Wisconsin voters say they are facing ahead of the election. And even if you look at what, Charles, these top 5, a majority have to do with the economy.
5 of the top 6 are all economically related. The sort of social issues are down at the bottom. And that's been true for a long time. But when we drill down into economic perceptions, we find that people feel like they're worse off than a year ago. They expect inflation to be higher, and they're, of course, complaining about gas prices and grocery prices. So all of those elements are part of why people are saying the cost of living is their #1 concern. And they're all trending against the president, against the Republicans right now.
Is there a party breakdown in terms of people who feel like gas prices are higher or feel like grocery prices are higher?
It's surprisingly little. I think the clear thing that you see at the pump drives home that point. Republicans are more optimistic about the economy. They're a little less pessimistic about inflation. But even among Republicans, a small majority think that inflation will be worse in a year.
All right, data centers not at the top of the list, but Wisconsinites have some thoughts on it. I want to show this chart because this is dramatic in terms of the split that has formed in not even the past year. That top line up to 78%. Those are voters who now feel that, I guess, have a negative view on data centers. What has happened here in such a short amount of time?
It's really remarkable. I don't think there's any issue that's exploded the way this has in less than a year. It was just 55% thought the costs outweighed the benefits in October. It's 78% now, up from 76% a month ago. And it's bipartisan. More than about two-thirds of Republicans and bigger majorities of independents and Democrats say they're not worth it.
It is a fascinating look. We're going to have more on our website. You can read the results. We have a link to all of them. Charles, like always, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.